What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another Detroit Lions video. Now, we're going to start transitioning back into the record predictions, and the only logical step after our Week 12 matchup would be to look at our Week 13 matchup against the Chicago Bears. This will be the second time we're playing the Chicago Bears in the 2020 season, and we did beat them the first time. We are currently 7-4 as far as my predictions go, and we'll see if we can keep that going with a battle against the Chicago Bears at Soldier Field. Now, before we do get into it, if you are new to the channel and are enjoying the content, consider liking the videos and subscribing to the channel. That helps push it out to new people, helps bring new people into the channel, and helps the channel grow and expand and get new people to view the content. So if you could do that, take 2 seconds out of your day to hit 2 different buttons and really help my day and help me out and make my day, I would be very appreciative to everybody that does that. But with that being said, let's get into this Week 13 matchup against our NFC North rivals. Now, the last game we played at Soldier Field, we ended up losing 20-13. However, we had some pretty major injuries in this game. Matthew Stafford, Kerryon Johnson, Tracy Walker, and Deshaun Hand all missed that game and were not able to participate in that game. This was the first game that Matthew Stafford missed of the season and did not play after this game. Kerryon Johnson missed a majority of the season. Tracy Walker missed a few games, and Deshaun Hand only played in 3 games the entire season. Now, the Bears really didn't have anybody significantly injured or anything, so just to kind of, put that out there. Now, the Detroit Lions, even though they lost this game, obviously kept it close within 1 score, but they also dominated a lot of statistical categories. They gained more first downs in the entirety of the game. They passed for more yards, they ran for more yards, and they dominated time of possession. However, the Chicago Bears were able to get more pressure and more sacks on on Jeff Driscoll. They forced more turnovers, and they were more efficient in the red zone. Now, 3 of my big things in football, in order to win football games, is you have to be able to win time of possession, win the turnover battle, and be efficient in the red zone. And if you're better at 2 out of those 3 things, you're probably going to win the football game. And obviously, the Chicago Bears were more efficient in the red zone and had more turnovers. The Detroit Lions were 0 for 1 in the red zone, and the Chicago Bears were 2 for 2. Now, obviously, this was a very close game with a lot of backups playing, a lot of non-starters, at least people we didn't expect to start in week 1, were playing for the Detroit Lions, and the fact that we still kept it close shows me that Patricia is a good enough coach to coach up even backup players to compete in the NFL, to compete for wins. And even though he was not quite able to get there, it still showed me that our team is willing to fight and scratch and claw their way through all 60 minutes of a football game, and they're not going to just roll over and die. They're not just going to give up and, tank for the rest of the season because their starting quarterback went down. They're still going to fight. They're still going to try to win football games. And even though they didn't get it done, I thought it was a very good thing to see from our team that they were still fighting even when their starting signal caller went down. Their starting running back, a leader in the back end, and a very promising young defensive lineman in Deshaun Hand. None of them were playing, and they still, went out there and tried to win football games. This is going to be kind of repetitive from the first video, so I'll go through it kind of fast. It is the key additions and key losses. However, I didn't want this video to be too repetitive from the week 1 video, so I did add a couple other, different stats and a couple different things to why I think the Lions can win against the Chicago Bears. But key losses, obviously, we lost Darius Slay, Snacks Harrison, A'Shawn Robinson, and Graham Glasgow, while the Chicago Bears lost Nick Kwiatkowski, Leonard Floyd, Nick Williams, and HaHa Clinton-Dix. Looking at key additions, we obviously brought in Big V. I'm not going to try to pronounce his name because I don't want to do him the disservice of pronouncing it incorrectly. We brought in Jonah Jackson from the NFL Draft. We brought in Jeff Okudah from the NFL Draft. We did actually bring in Nick Williams from the Chicago Bears. And we brought in Danny Shelton from the New England Patriots to replace A'Shawn Robinson and Snacks Harrison. Now, the Chicago Bears ended up bringing Robert Quinn, Jimmy Graham, and Nick Foles. Robert Quinn obviously had a very good season last year with the Dallas Cowboys, but in his career he's been kind of inconsistent, has shown that he can be very good, but has also shown that, in certain years he's not quite up to that 10-sack, double-digit sack standard every single year. Jimmy Graham is far past his prime. He's nowhere near the player he was with the Saints or the Seahawks. Even with the Packers last year, he would really hit a decline, and I would not expect him to be a huge threat for the Chicago Bears next season. I would expect him to play in games, but I wouldn't expect him to be the huge game changer that he once was. And then Nick Foles, I believe, will be the Bears starting quarterback next season. I think he will beat out Trubisky if it is truly a competition between quarterbacks. So getting your starting quarterback for a season for a 4th-round pick is not bad. However, I still think that Nick Foles will be the worst starting quarterback in the division if he does start. Same as Mitchell Trubisky. If he starts, I believe he will also be the worst quarterback in the NFC North. Getting on to some of the newer stuff. So, as I said, I want to do something different, kind of give out different stats, and I didn't want it to be too repetitive from the first video, the week 1 matchup. So, I went back from 2010 and I looked at the Detroit Lions versus the Chicago Bears record, home and away, to see how well we play at home, how well we play away, how well the Chicago Bears play at Soldier Field, and how well they play at Ford Field. So, basically, it's pretty much dead even. Out of those 20 games, the Detroit Lions have won 6 of them at home, 4 of them away. The Chicago Bears have won 5 at home and 5 away. So it's pretty dead even. No team really, at least in the past decade, really played better either home or away. It was very even. It was pretty much 50-50 split, with the Detroit Lions taking one more victory home than they had away. However, it's still both sides won 10 games out of the 20 in the past decade from 2010 and beyond. And it's pretty even throughout, well, it was pretty even throughout the 2010s. Now, I think a matchup that the Detroit Lions can take advantage of is the Chicago Bears secondary. I know they have a fantastic defense. They have a very good defensive line with Khalil Mack and Eddie Goldman and Akeem Hicks and now Robert Quinn. And they have pretty good linebackers in Roquan Smith and Danny Trevathan. And they had Nick Kwiatkowski, who's no longer there. But they had a very solid front seven. However, that secondary is kind of lacking outside of Kendall Fuller and Eddie Jackson. And even those two did not play quite to their standards, or at least what a lot of people thought they would play to last year. Now, Kyle Fuller had a huge drop-off last season. In 2018, he was targeted 121 times. He allowed 68 completions for a 56% completion percentage. He allowed 808 yards and 4 touchdowns while having 7 interceptions and allowing a 63.7 passer rating allowed. In 19, he was only targeted 106 times. However, he gave up 75 completions for a 70.8% completion percentage against him. He gave up 942 yards, 5 touchdowns, while only having 3 interceptions and allowing a 102 passer rating allowed on him. So he had a huge drop-off last year, and I wouldn't expect a huge resurgence from him. If anything, teams are just figuring him out more and more what he does well, and they're going to avoid that. I think he had a huge year in 2018, and now people are starting to focus on him, and they're starting to not only avoid him a little bit more, but they're kind of starting to do more film review, looking at what works against him, what he's good at defending, and they're not going to run. So he likes to play a lot of bail. He likes to play off the line of scrimmage and keep his eyes on the quarterback while watching the receiver. So a lot of out routes, a lot of quick routes, quick outs, and all that kind of stuff are not going to work against him. And I think that a lot of teams figured that out last year and didn't do that against him, which is why his numbers went down. But I wouldn't expect a huge resurgence from him, because I think teams are starting to figure him out. He's getting up there a little bit in age. He's not obviously not too old, but he is getting up there a little bit in age. Teams are starting to figure him out a little bit, and I wouldn't expect a huge season like he had in 2018 again. And then Eddie Jackson, while not regressing terribly, did regress a little bit in certain things. So in 2018, he was targeted 54 times, allowing 27 completions for a 50% completion percentage. He allowed 311 yards, 2 touchdowns, and had 6 interceptions. So that was good for a 40.5 passer rating allowed. Now in 2019, he dropped off a little bit. He was targeted less at only 43 targets, and he did give up 23 completions of those 43, so a little bit worse completion percentage allowed at 53.5. He gave up less yards with 233. However, he only had 2 interceptions, which is far less from his 6 interception season for 2018, but he gave up 1 less touchdown, and his passer rating allowed went up a little bit at 57.6. So their secondary is very young with Jalen Johnson. They got rid of Prince Amukamara. They got rid of a lot of their secondary talent. They got rid of HaHa Clinton-Dix, as I mentioned, and a lot of their secondary is new. I mentioned Jalen Johnson. I think they have 3 different rookie cornerbacks, and I think they have 2 cornerbacks that are going into their second year. So they're very young. Obviously, they have stars in Eddie Jackson and Kyle Fuller, but they're both regressing quite a bit as they get more of a reputation. Teams are avoiding them and doing a little bit more scouting to see what works against them and what doesn't. So they're not going to throw, Eddie Jackson is a very rangy safety, and Kyle Fuller is, he likes to stay off the line, and he likes to look at your quarterback and jump on a lot of things. He's a very aggressive quarterback. He jumps on really the first thing that you show him. So I think that NFL teams are doing more scouting. They're now more prepared for these guys, which is why their stats went down. I still think Eddie Jackson is one of the best safeties in the NFL. I think Kyle Fuller is a little overrated. I think that he's going to probably have a similar season to last year, and I think the Detroit Lions could definitely take advantage of this secondary since they play them every year. They really know what to expect. They really know how to play a Chicago team And even last year with a backup quarterback, they still threw for, I think, 250 yards and a touchdown against the secondary. And now they don't have the veteran presence of HaHa Clinton-Dix or Prince Amukamara. And I think we could really take advantage of this secondary. Now, with that being said, I have the Lions winning this game also. I think that the Bears aren't a very good team. I think they will be the worst team in the NFC North by far. And I don't think it's really going to be that. I don't think it's going to be that close. Personally, I think they have a very good defense, but I think they really need to figure a lot out on their offense if they want to be competitive. And with the QB controversy and Matt Nagy taking a lot of heat for poor play calling and just all the factors, I really don't think their offense is going to be very good next year. And I think that's going to hold back their elite defense from really shining as much as it did in 2018. So I think the Lions win this game. I think they improved to 8-4, and at this point, it's looking pretty solid that we can make the playoffs and even a run at the division. However, obviously there's 3-4 games left. There's still time to blow it, and there's still time to prove that we belong in the NFC North. So that is all I have for you guys today. That is my prediction for our Week 13 matchup as we travel to Soldier Field to take on the Chicago Bears. Let me know if you disagree, if you have the Bears winning this one, if you have the Bears doing much better in the division than I do. As I said, I have the Bears finishing last in the division with a very poor record, and I think the Detroit Lions sweep them this year for the first time in quite a while. But with that being said, that is all I have for you guys today. If there is more Lions news before tomorrow, I will obviously make a video letting everybody know. But until then, thank you all so very much for watching. I appreciate everybody that takes the 2 seconds out of their day to hit that like and subscribe button. I appreciate everybody that helps me out in growing this channel and supporting me on this journey. So thank you all so very much for watching. I will see all of you tomorrow. Have an absolutely fantastic day. And that's all I got for you guys right now. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.